series from Right to Rise to the world and each one of you. Yes, with me today I have an inspirational person, the co-founder of Right to Rise and the founder of International Trainers Federation, Mr. Rahul Raj, also with us, who would introduce you to this wonderful series and what does it gorge about. So yes, all over to you, Mr. Rahul.
Good evening, world, and thank you so much, Raina, for introducing me. Uh, well, we have been doing a lot of innovative tasks in the field of prevention of sexual harassment and the other women-related and children-related issues. And to continue the same forward, we have a new initiation. So going forward from today, every day you will be getting a small video from us, a bite-sized video from us, which will be there on our YouTube, our Instagram, as well as the LinkedIn channel. In this video, we'll be taking you through the various concepts and various terminologies connected with the women and children and other rights related laws and issues. So, today, as we begin, we would like to start off with the five most important terminologies in the field of prevention of sexual harassment of women at workplace. So, Rena, what would you propose to be the most important word or terminology or concept around POSH?
Interestingly, this entire scene or the entire terminology, the Prevention and Prohibition Redressal Act, is around one person who we still see as a vulnerable part of our society, and that is women. The entire attempt enacted to have an enforcement of dignity, rights, and respect. Here, I would like to propose on the word aggrieved women or the complainant most of the time is the person who we see coming up to the internal complaints committee and presenting a written complaint. So, yes, the complainant, the aggrieved, in case of women, is the person who comes and files a complaint in written form, or there is somebody who comes and presents the complaint on her behalf if she is incapacitated. So, the
Wonderful.
next terminology, interestingly, is something that my viewers would like to know, and that is respondent. Would you like to tell us a little more about that, Mr. Rahul?
As the clap requires two hands, similarly, any complaint cannot be against a anonymous person. So when there is a complainant, somebody who is aggrieved, there would be a person who is being perceived to be the cause of it. So that person is known as the respondent, and the name respondent has come in because if a aggrieved woman puts a complaint, there has somebody to respond to that complaint. So that is why we call him the respondent. And yes, together they form the tango on which the entire activity of all these things happen.
So, my curious query here is, can the respondent be just one person, or an organization, or a third party, or what do you have to say on that?
It can be as a lone lion, or it can be a pack of hyenas. So respondents can be one or many. And similarly, there can be one respondent and multiple complainants. That can take many,
Wonderful.
many shapes. So once we have covered the two important words, the two important terminologies, the aggrieved woman and the respondent, I think the very definition, what is sexual harassment? Sexual harassment as a terminology is very important. So throw some light on that, Raina.
Sexual harassment, as it's defined itself, it becomes so much easier because we get all these words of abuse, harassment, unwanted, unwelcome type of responses. So I would say we would be learning about the terminology of what is sexual harassment as per the Act, and we look at it as five important points as the Act specifies. Section 2.2n, which says that sexual harassment can be anything that is unwanted, unwelcome, physical contact or advances, making sexually colored remarks, any form of demand, request of sexual favors, showing pornography, or any other request, physical, verbal, non verbal conduct of sexual nature, which is unwanted and unwelcome. Of course, the act can be defined in many other implicit and explicit forms, but this causes the major foundation of the definition where we say what is sexual harassment and what is not. And yes, everything is situational. We use this word context or situations or a background behind which the activity happens. So I would propose you to welcome you to tell me what exactly defines a workplace, because that is the major definition that people need to understand, because our workplace seems to be evolving with the period of time that we are moving in.
True. That's very true, Arena. And understanding the workplace is definitely a key essence that a person must gain if he is dealing with the field of the sexual harassment. And as we look around us, there is hardly any place which is not a workplace. It is quite possible that if I may be having an office, and that may be a workplace to me as an employee as or as an owner, but yet I've got multiple other roles when I step into the outside world other than my office. That could be the workplace of others. So we take up the roles of visitors, customers, uh, just people who are there to visit, and with the various different roles, we do keep encountering the others' workplaces. Like I live in a multi-storied building, and the moment I step out of my house, I'm into the workplace of someone else. So workplace is where any kind of an economic activity is happening. People are getting their livelihood. Yes, our role, excuse me for that. Our role might be different at various workplaces. So it's not always my place of work. It is any workplace wherein a person is gaining his livelihood. So many a times we take up different roles, and that changes the definition of workplace.
Wow. So, am I to say even schools and colleges fall under this criteria? Because I'm sure that's not a place where people would ever think as a livelihood. And also a very interesting place that we see nowadays, which we work from home. So, does that also come?
Of course, of course. Earlier, the home as a workplace was taken in only for the domestic help and domestic workers. It used to be the workplace for them. But now, as you and me are sitting in the comforts of our home, and thanks to the pandemic, almost most of us operate a large part of our day through our Zoom and the other platforms working from home. This is also our workplace. And sexual harassment and all these concepts needn't always be physical in nature. They can be virtual in nature also. They can be cyber in nature. They can be discreet, and they can be uh, overt also. So, yes, definitely they all come in the workplace. So, once we have done the workplace, the complainant has been done, the respondent has been done. What do you think is the next most important word in the field of POSH? You know?
Mm, I'm looking at all the stakeholders. I think we have covered aggrieved and the respondent in which the complaint occurs, and also the place, and that is workplace, with understanding what is sexual harassment. All I can think of now is basically another contextual word is how are we going to address and keep our workspace safe? And that's where we get these committees in mind. So I think we have a knowledge of two committees, an IC and an LC. So I would also want you to throw some light on both these committees, and how do we differentiate, or are they just coming in as per our choice? Do we just go in for an IC or an LC and their definition? So, yes, please throw some light on that, Mr. Rahul.
Sure, Reno. It is so that LC or IC, the full forms of LC is the local committee, and IC is the internal committee. These are two terminologies which are used as the primary platforms wherein any sexual harassment complaint is engaged, it is entertained. Now, the law specifically says that any workplace which has got 10 or more people, they must have a IC in place. So, in due course of time, in later videos, we will come to know how IC is formed, what are the mandatory things that we need to take care of when we are forming the IC. However, at this point of time, any workplace with more than 10 people requires an internal committee wherein there are members from the organization itself with a external representation also. In case there is a situation wherein the workplace has less than 10 people, then owing to the practical problem, a IC cannot be formed. So how can you form an IC with three people at the workplace? So in such cases, the district level complaints committee has been formed. Every district has it, and at the taluka level also. So through the taluka level representation, you can reach the LC in case you have got less than 10 people in the organization or at that branch. So it is quite possible that it can be a branch level thing or a organizational level thing.
So
Great.
that's
So we
quite
have covered
interesting.
quite a bit of nugget knowledges with our friends.
Yes.
Okay. We have got Zahra Kabiri, who is just mentioned. Yes, sexual harassment is a big thing. Myself, and I'm so sorry I cannot get that pronunciation right. Please, apologies. Gasly and Mr. Zadeh and others have experienced a lot of this. Jonathan MacDonald is big on this. Yes, we often tend to think that sexual harassment is a very uh, hidden thing or a thing which is not very frequent. However, the statistics is really shocking. One of the statistics says that an average Indian, by the time he reaches the age of 50, he would have been he would have encountered the sexual harassment at least 3 times in his life. And we are talking of people, we are not talking of women alone. Yes, men also get sexually harassed. So it's not that sexual harassment is a term exclusive to the womanhood. Men harass men, men harass women, men harass transgenders, and yes, transgenders harass men, transgenders also harass women, and women also harass the people around them. Most of the cases we have found the sexual harassment has been between two females. It is shocking because it's not very common that we come across, but the statistics really throws much light on it. So I think Rena,
Absolutely.
that's good
I
enough.
think I think
Let's
we have given a lot of food for thought for today. Yes, thank you, Zara Kabiri, and thank you for all the viewers who are going to be visiting this video and gauging this knowledge. The knowledge bites that we look at the series, it would be a 1 minute bite that we share with some food for thought for you every day at 7 o'clock. So we continue to share our knowledge at Right to Rise. Do join us all evenings at 7 o'clock for a few minutes and get the lovely bites on a regular basis. Thank you so much for joining in today. Over to you, Mr.
thank you, world, for coming up and being with us. We love your support and we hold a lot of gratitude for it. For detailed courses, we have got the POSH 101, that is the POSH practitioner with us. It's a 2 day full 2 day certification program. Other than that, we have got a specific skill building program for the IC members. That's again a 2 day certification program. And if you want to work with the organizations setting up their POSH systems. And yes, POSH system does not mean that you have an IC policy and an IC committee and you are over with it. No, you need to develop an entire system around it. We have a specific course, POSH 104, that is the POSH consultant, wherein you learn how to go ahead and implement and develop the POSH systems. Then we have got our niche program, POSH auditor, wherein you can go ahead and add value to the world around you, to the corporates that you work with, by auditing how well their POSH system is working, whether it is effective or not, if it is effective, whether it is efficient enough or not. So come together, let's make world a safer and a more enjoyable place to be, so that productivity is always at the highest. Thank you, world. Thank you so much, Rana. We'll be back 24 hours from now.
Thank you so much. Stay safe and stay blessed.